I will mute you guys. Excuse me, Susie. Here, let's move you over. All right, so I have blocks. You might, every day is different, and some days, like even if you never use blocks, it's nice to have a block, because as we come into this practice, we come into this exploratory, curious sort of a place. And we're really taking this opportunity. I think that there is a misconception when we come to our mat, sometimes when we're first coming to our mat, and sometimes the way of a misconception is that it cycles back through, right? We kind of forget and we fall back into the misconception. The misconception is that we come to yoga so that we can still our mind, so that we can get out of our heads, right? And the truth is that the stilling of the mind is actually a byproduct of moving the attention, moving the awareness, moving the focus throughout the body. And as we move the focus throughout the body, we aren't just physical bodies, right? We have our emotions, we have our depth, we have everything, our thoughts. So as we move our awareness, as we kind of shift back, like we were talking about on Monday, into that governorship, that overarching witness who is looking and experiencing, by the byproduct is that our minds take on a different quality. So we're going to start lying down on our backs today. My favorite way to start a yoga class, absolutely. So just getting yourself into a comfortable position. Knees can be bent or straight. Arms can be either resting by your side or resting somewhere on your body. Allow your eyes to close down. And feel the floor underneath you. Take particular notice of the floor underneath you. And as you come into that relationship with the floor, allow your body to just be held by the floor, and allow your breath to allow the floor to give you some feedback for your breath. So as we allow the floor to be our feedback, it's a little bit like we're breathing more in the back of the body. So just kind of notice, a lot of times we think about breathing into the front of the body, into the front ribs, but imagine breathing into the back ribs. Even imagine breathing into the sides of your ribs so that you feel the breath is three-dimensional. And for the next minute, we're just going to be present with our breath. And if our focus gets pulled by any sort of errant thought, gently and lovingly release that thought, knowing you can come back to it. You probably will, whether you want to or not, anytime. And come back into your breath. And if you haven't already, start to draw your breath in a little bit deeper, a little bit longer. Create an equanimity between your inhale and your exhale breath. And then notice the state of your mind. Has it shifted? Has it changed? Has it downshifted any amount? And so the breath is kind of centered in the torso, right? We can feel it filling that entire torso. On
your next breath in, imagine you were breathing into a beautiful diamond in the very center of your body. And as you exhale, imagine that breath radiating out three-dimensionally in a sphere around you. And then from that center, on your next inhale breath, stretch your arms back behind you, stretch your legs out in front of you, so you're bringing all of that energy into the center. And as you exhale, imagine shooting that energy through your fingertips and through your feet. You can point your toes, you can reach through your fingers. Good, and then hug your knees in towards your chest. And we're just gonna be here for a minute in this embrace. So if you wanna move around a little bit initially, go ahead. If you wanna rock from side to side or gently circle the knees. Just observe how it feels to be in this shape. Every day is a little bit different. Good, and then you're gonna shift so that you're only holding onto your right knee. You're gonna extend your left leg straight up towards the ceiling. And then I want you to press your right knee forward into your hands. At the same time, pull your left shin bone towards your face. So you feel how that creates a little bit of core work and aligns the belt line so that it's nice and straight. Now holding onto this little bit of core work, start to flex and point your left ankle. So you're bringing energy through your leg all the way up through your ankles and feet. And synchronize with an inhale and an exhale. It doesn't really matter which one. Just make sure that there's breath and movement and you're staying aware of both. At the same time, you're staying aware of pressing your right knee forward into your hands and continuing to pull your left thigh bone towards your face. And then start to circle your ankle around and around as you maintain your awareness on those other parts that we've discussed. And just feel how energy starts to move into the lower leg. Start to circle the opposite direction. Notice the places where your toes are sleepy and see if you can create more awareness, more energy, more movement, and even more breath into your ankle. Good, and then you're gonna drop your right foot down, cross your left ankle over your right knee, extend your arms out to the sides, and start to drop your left heel down towards the right side of your mat. We're just gonna go back and forth. So come back through the center and drop your left knee down towards the left side of your mat. And you're just going back and forth a few times, loosening up through the hips. Sneak preview, we're definitely gonna be getting into the hips today. The hips represent, the element that is represented by the hips is water. So try to keep your breath as fluid as you can. Good, go to the left one more time. And then bring it back up into the center. Lift your right leg up off of the floor and hug your right thigh bone in towards you. Flex both feet actively. So we've really woken up those feet. So make sure that your feet are flexed, your toes towards your shins. You're feeling that stretch into your left glute. Find your breath. And then extend your right leg to straight. Press your left knee away from you. At the same time, pull your right thigh bone towards you. Feel how your core is involved in leveling out your belt line here. Good, and then bend your right knee, drop your right sole of your foot down to the mat. Extend your arms out to the side. Cross your left thigh bone all the way over your right thigh bone. And let your knees slowly descend towards the right. But there's no forcefulness. There's no hurry to get your knees to the floor. In fact, it's probably better if they don't touch the floor. And take your right hand and bring your right hand to the outside of your left knee. As you inhale, imagine pulling your left knee out towards the right. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles right side towards the left side to pull your left shoulder blade down more into the floor. So as you inhale, think about extending longer through your outer left leg. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles and glue your left shoulder blade down into the floor. And then do that one more time. and slowly bring it back into the center. Uncross your legs, hug both knees in towards your chest. Close your eyes again and just be in this shape and notice if it's any different than the last time that you were in this shape. Give your mind a chance to reset into this present moment. Think of your breath as being fluid, like a river running through you. Good, and then you're gonna shift so that you're only holding onto your left knee. Extend your right leg straight up towards the ceiling. Press your left knee forward as you pull your right leg in towards you until you feel the lowest part of your belly engage. And then start to flex and point your right toes. So it doesn't matter what breath rhythm you choose, whether you're inhaling or exhaling, just whatever feels natural to you in this moment. There's plenty of times to get too intellectualized about what we're doing, but just let things flow for now. And just keep your attention on pressing your left knee forward into your hands and pulling your right leg in towards you. And then start to circle your ankle. And so we're looking for, like, you might call it fatigue, but it's not, it's energy. You're just looking for sensation in those muscles. See if you can wake up any of your sleepy toes. If any of them are sleepy, I know I have a few that just don't even move. So try to send them some energy. Good. And then drop your left foot down, cross your right ankle over your knee, extend your arms out to the side. Take your right heel down towards the left side of your mat. Doesn't matter where you breathe, but keep breathing steadily. Come back through the center, drop your right knee down towards the right side of your mat. And keep going, just keep windshield wipering, noticing the stretch through your hips. Noticing the work in your core, there should be some, right? We want to steer from the center of the body. We want that central command station to kind of be in charge. So the next time your right knee drops to the right will be the last time. Recenter after that. And already establish that strong flexion in both feet. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. Press your right knee away from you. As you pull your left knee in, feel your belt line leveling off towards the short edge of your yoga mat. Find your breath and notice where there's tension. Like for me, my hands are clenching. So can I soften my hands, but still feel like I am pulling my leg in towards me? Can you soften your face? Can you soften your shoulders? Can you soften your jaw? Good, and then extend your left leg straight towards the ceiling. Keep pressing your right knee away from you. Keep pulling your left thigh bone in. Find the work in the core. Good, and then drop the sole of your left foot back down to the floor. Extend your arms out to the sides. Cross your right thigh bone all the way over your left thigh bone. And slowly start to let your knees fall down towards the left. But don't go all the way. Just go to that first kind of sticky point. When you find that first kind of sticky point, gently rest your left hand to the outside of your right thigh. As you inhale, imagine pulling your right knee towards the left side of the room. Maybe the shoulder blade gets a little light, but as you exhale, contract your belly muscles and notice how the shoulder blade finds the floor again. Do that a couple of more times. See if you can keep the movement and the breath awareness, helping you to find a deeper sense of awareness in how your breath and your body intersect with one another. So you're in that exploratory place, that curious place. Good, and then slowly release. Uncross your legs, hug both knees in towards your chest. Keep hugging your right knee. Extend your left leg straight up towards the ceiling. Press your right knee forward, and then slowly start to lower your left leg down till it's hovering a couple of inches above the mat. Lift your head and your shoulders up off of the mat. Reach your arms forward. We're gonna go really slow here. As you inhale, straighten your right leg up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, bring your right leg to meet your left. As you inhale, bring your right knee back in. As you exhale, reach your right leg forward to meet your left. As you inhale, bring your right leg back up to the ceiling. As you exhale, rebend your right knee. One more time. Inhale your right leg straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach your right leg down to meet your left. Exhale, draw your right knee in towards your chest. Inhale, reach your right leg forward to meet your left. Exhale, lift your right leg back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, hug your knee in. Drop your left leg down to the mat. And press the inside of your left inner thigh down into the floor. See if you can move your right sitting bone towards the arch of your left foot. And then start to circle your right thigh bone around and around. If you want to move your left hand to the top of your left hip to further stabilize, you can. You can actually do whatever you want in this practice, but that's an option. I'll just throw it out to you guys. Good, and then once you've completed however many circles feels like completion for you, hug your left knee into your chest to join. Take a moment just to reset, just to recalibrate. Good, and then shift your hands over so that you're hugging your left knee. Press your left knee forward. Extend your right leg straight up towards the ceiling. And then slowly lower your right leg down till it's hovering a couple of inches away from your mat. Think of your right inner thigh spinning down towards the floor. Press your left knee forward so much that your shoulder blades lift up off of the floor. And then once you have that, reach your arms forward. So the exact same thing. Inhale the left leg straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach your left leg forward. Inhale, bring your left knee in towards your chest. Exhale, reach your left leg forward. Inhale, back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bend your left knee. Inhale, left leg straight up towards the ceiling. Inhale, reach your left leg forward. I might be off with the breath. Exhale, bring your left knee back in towards your chest. Inhale, reach your left leg forward. Exhale, left leg back up towards the ceiling. And then hug your knee in towards your chest. Let your right leg release down towards the floor. So spin your right inner thigh as much as you can down into the floor. And then for me, I notice my left sitting bone is way up in my waist. So think about moving that left sitting bone towards the front edge of your yoga mat. And then start to circle your left thigh around and around. Once you have your pelvis even, you can explore the hip socket. Do that as many times as feels good. And then hug both knees in towards your chest. Take a moment to recalibrate, to reset, to just feel what's happening in the lower body. We tried to wake up everything from the toes to the ankles, to the calves, to the hamstrings, to the glutes. So can you feel that things are maybe a little different? There's a little more flow, there's a little bit more, maybe even blood flow. When you're ready, start to rock yourself up and down the length of your spine. You can do that as many times as you want to. And make your way onto hands and knees eventually. Okay, so before we get started with anything, I want you guys to lift the heels of your hands up so that you're just on your fingers. Yeah, so it's a big old wrist stretch, and then slowly release the heel of your hand back down. And as you do, feel your palms spreading wide. Do that again. Suction, like you have a suction cup in the center of your palm. Suction the heel of your hand up off of the floor so just your fingers are down. And then as you exhale, release it back down. So I'm lifting up so that it's hard to show you. Just my fingers are down. So I'm lifting this heel of my hand up.
Let's do that a couple of more times. Just lift the heel of your hand up so that your wrists and the palm become kind of perpendicular to the floor. And then just do that one more time, cultivating a little bit of strength in the palms of the hands. Good. And then just step your knees backwards just a little bit. Drop your hips back into your heels for a child's pose. Let your hips sink down into your heels. On your inhale breath, shift your shoulders forward of your wrists. So you're coming into a modified push-up position. And as you exhale, drop your hips back into child's pose. Now we're gonna add a cat and a cow element to this. So as you inhale, round your spine, come forward into modified push-up. And as you exhale, keep a little arch in your lower back as you press your hips back towards your heels. So inhale, round your spine like your spine is making a big wave. Shoulders come up and then forward. Yeah, and as you exhale, reach your hips back to your heels. Just do that 3 more times on your own. Explore how much you can round your back as you're coming forward, feeling the wall of your abdominals firming in. One more time. And you land back in child's pose. Good, now shift forward again so that you're on all fours. Make sure that your palms are directly underneath your wrists. You're gonna take your right leg, let's take your right leg out to the right. Firm your left hip in. Yeah, and then start to circle your right hip around and around. And notice the work it takes to stabilize that left hip in through your core. And then circle the opposite direction as well. And then bring your right knee out towards the right again. So your knee is bent. As you inhale, straighten your right leg so that it's hovering perpendicular to the long edge of your yoga mat. As you exhale, rebend your right knee. As you inhale, kick your right leg straight back behind you with the inner thigh pointing down towards the floor, so like a froggy kick. And as you exhale, bring your right knee back out towards the right. So let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, extend your right leg out to the right, firm the left hip in. Exhale, rebend your right knee. Inhale, kick that right leg straight back behind you, inner leg facing down. Exhale, bring your right knee back out to the side. One more time, inhale, straighten that leg. Exhale, rebend. Inhale, extend back behind you. And exhale, bring it in. Good, and then drop your right knee down to meet your left. And just do hip circles with both knees down. Knees close together will give you a little bit of a bigger stretch. And circle in both directions. Notice which is the stickier direction. And then come back into your neutral position and feel the length of your spine, both the back of your spine and the front of your spine. Bring your left knee out towards the left. Firm that right hip in. Notice if your handprint got heavier on one side than the other. Try to keep them even. And start to make a 360-degree circle, as close to 360 as you can, with your right knee. And then circle the opposite direction as well. Good, and then the next time your right knee is straight out towards the right, hold it there. Stabilize on the 3 points of contact that you have with the floor. As you inhale, kick your left foot straight out to the left. Make sure that your foot is flexed. Exhale, bend your left knee again. So your inner thigh is facing down. Inhale, kick your leg straight back behind you. Exhale, bring your left knee back in without shortening the waist. Inhale, extend straight out to the side. Exhale, bend. Inhale, kick straight back behind you. Exhale, rebend. One more time. Inhale, extend. Get really long through that left side body. Exhale, bend. Inhale, kick straight back behind you. Exhale, bend. Good. Bring your left knee in to meet your right. Take your hips around and around in a circle. Knees can be closer together. I'll give you a little bit of a bigger stretch. Go in both directions. Can you believe we haven't even done downward facing dog yet? We're getting there, but not yet. So I'm gonna start on my left side, but you guys do your right side so I can see you. Extend your right leg straight back behind you with your toes down on the yoga mat. And then feel that energetic lift to your low belly. Yeah? It's almost as if your hands could get a little bit lighter. You have a little bit more pressure going into your fingertips. Now roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Or sorry, your right foot, just kidding. Take your right arm straight up towards the ceiling. So you're coming into a side plank on your left side. Good. Okay, so you're gonna take your top right arm and you're gonna bring it down right next to your left arm. And as you do, feel that right hip turning down towards the floor. Now I want you to maintain that alignment through your hip as you re-extend your right arm straight up towards the sky and feel like you lift up through that right arm so much that you're lifting off of your left hand. So you can stay here. Some of you guys are gonna float that back right leg up. Good. If you floated that back right leg up, you have yet another option. So take a big inhale. As you exhale, bring your right knee in towards your chest. And as you inhale, kick that leg straight back behind you, inner thigh points down towards the floor. Good, do that a couple more times. Exhale, bring it in as you stabilize through the left side of your body. Stay light on your left palm. Inhale, extend and get long. And if you're doing that one more time, you can always stop if it's too much. And then if you did in fact get long, either way, extend your right arm over your ear and make sure that that right hip is still turning down towards the floor. Good, slowly release the whole situation down. We're gonna switch to the other side. So extend your left leg back behind you, toes down on the yoga mat. Use that to supercharge the midline of your body so you get super, super long. And then revolve the inner edge of your left foot down into the floor. Firm your right hip in towards the middle of your mat. Take the left arm up towards the ceiling. So this is kind of the position we automatically get into, but we're gonna change it a little bit by taking that top left arm and placing it down right next to your standing right arm. So notice how the hip came with you a little bit. That left hip is turning down towards the floor. Hold on to that as you re-extend your left arm up. Get lighter on your right hand. Use the strength of your core, use the strength of your torso to levitate off of your bottom hand. I know that sounds crazy. Option to float that back leg up off of the floor. Your inner thigh is still pointing down towards the floor. As you inhale, think about getting long from the inseam of your leg all the way through the crown of your head. And as you exhale, maybe bend your, balancing act, bend your left knee in towards your chest. Inhale, extend and get long. And decide what you're gonna do here. Maybe you just find that stability. Maybe you work on firming that right tricep so that you're lighter on your right hand. If you're moving, this is the last round of breath. And then extend your top arm over your ear and reach all the way from your left heel through your left fingertips. Good, and then revolve your way back down. Move your hands about 2 inches forward. It's time, downward facing dog, you guys. Feet are hips distance apart, tuck your toes under, keep your knees pretty bent. As you reach your hips back, imagine your fingertips could stretch the front of the mat towards the front of the room. As you press your pelvis away from your shoulders, feel your hips lifting higher. Start to press the top of your thigh bones towards the front top of your thigh bones towards the back of your thigh bones. And then reach your heels towards the floor. Whether they touch or not does not matter, but you're lengthening the legs both by lifting the sitting bones up and by pressing the heels down. Imagine that I wanted to slide the teensiest little piece of paper underneath your inner wrist, so where your wrist and your palm come together. So put a little bit more pressure into the knuckles of your fingers.
Relax your inner upper shoulders away from your ears. Roll your shoulder blades towards the sides of your body as if your shoulder blades could encapsulate the sides of your body. And then allow your breath to deepen. Make sure your arms are in line with your ears. And then just like we did from child's pose, you're gonna think of your spine as a big wave. You're gonna start to round your spine as you inhale forward into plank pose. So lift up high onto your tippy toes, round your spine until your shoulders are past your wrists. Draw your low belly in. As you exhale, maintain that little arch in your back. You can bend your knees if you need to further exaggerate that, to press your hips back into downward facing dog. So you might bend your knees and then press your heels towards the floor. Again, inhale, lift up, roll your body forward into a plank pose. As you exhale, bend your knees, push the front of the mat forward, lengthen your hips, and then release your heels towards the mat. And just explore that movement a couple of more times, just 2 more times. Draw the low belly in. Make sure you're staying cognizant of what your center is doing, that you're never just kind of letting it become forgetful. We'll just say it that way. Last time, take your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Good, and then as you inhale, you can round or not, shift forward into that same plank pose. Press your heels back against an imaginary wall. Spin your inner thighs up towards the ceiling. Press down so much through the inner palms that you can imagine your collarbones getting broader. Reach through the crown of your head. Take a big inhale and super slow motion as you exhale. Lower your belly all the way down to the floor. Uncurl your toes. Reach back through the inner legs. Press the pinky toenails down. Imagine you could now pull the yoga mat backwards and feel your shoulder heads roll away from the floor. And then press your shoulder blades towards the front of your body. Your neck stays neutral. Draw the low belly in. Keep coiling that upper spine up. Make sure the low belly is still drawing in. You're pressing your tailbone down towards the floor. Take 1 more inhale. And as you exhale, release your spine back down. So imagine pulling your yoga mat backwards and then let your hands get light and just to watch the movement evolve as your upper spine coils up away from the floor. Keep drawing the low belly in. Keep reaching the shoulder blades into the front of the body. Your fingertips are light, but you're imagining you could pull the yoga mat backwards. Take 1 more inhale. And as you exhale, release it down. You can stay with Bhujangasana. If you feel like upward facing dog, your body's just craving that. Let's pull the yoga mat backwards. Make sure the hands are directly underneath the elbows. Draw the low belly in. And start to press into the top of the feet. Curl the spine up. Press your arms to straight if you're taking upward facing dog. And then imagine the shoulder blades could reach into the front of the room. So take the very center of your sternum and try to press it through your arms towards the front of the room. Look over your right shoulder. Come back center. Look over your left shoulder. Come back center. And lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Spin your inner thighs towards the back wall. Imagine 2 big hands, like bear paws, pulling your hips backwards, so much so that it feels like you almost got lighter on your hands. Good, and then walk your hands back towards your feet. Cross your left leg behind your right leg. Line your pinky edges of your feet up. Bend into your right knee. Feel that stretch perhaps on the left IT band. And spin the left arm up towards the sky. So a little twist here.
Imagine pouring breath into your chest. As you exhale, contract your belly muscles to build your twist. Good, and then slowly release your left arm back down. You can take a moment there and just stretch with your legs crossed, kind of a different stretch. Step your left foot back to the ordinary side of the mat. Step your right leg to the left side of the mat. Line up your pinky edges of your feet. Bend your front left knee a little bit more. Spin your right arm up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, imagine that breath pouring into your heart center. And as you exhale, contract the belly muscles to build the twist. Good, and then slowly revolve your right arm back down. Just take a moment to stretch here, both fingertips or hands down on the floor, thinking of lifting the sides of the hips so they stack directly above the ankles. And then step your right foot back to its ordinary side of the mat. Heel toe your feet so that they are inner hips distance apart. Soften your knees so much that your torso and your torso rests on your thighs. Let your arms hang heavy. Let the crown of your head hang low. And then from the very lowest part of your belly, start to roll your spine up, thinking about stacking that first vertebrae, second vertebrae, third vertebrae, fourth, and so on until you come all the way up. Roll your shoulders back. Set your gaze forward, melt your shoulders away from your ears, draw your low belly and lengthen your tailbone down. Spin the inner thighs towards the back wall. And spin your palms to face open. Inhale your arms straight up towards the sky. Catch a hold of your left wrist. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale, step into your left foot as you side bend towards the right. Send your left hip as far out over the left side of your mat as you can, and then turn your left lung up towards the ceiling. So it's as if your left shoulder would stack on top of your right shoulder. Draw the back of your skull backwards. So you're just in the side plane here. You're not also twisting. Good. Inhale back up to the top. Switch, clasp your opposite wrist. And as you exhale, side bend towards the left, shifting your hips towards the right. And then start to turn your right lung up towards the ceiling, left lung down towards the floor, lean the back of your skull backwards. It's like you're two-dimensional here. Inhale back up to the top, release your wrists. Low belly draws in, tailbone long, bend your elbows out to the side like cactus arms. Don't worry about lifting your chest yet. Now as you draw your shoulder blades down, lift your chest up. Keep the low belly drawing in. Feel as if the center of the sternum was traveling up and back. Good. Inhale, both arms back up to the center. And as you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. So of course there's like major construction going on outside. I'm hearing all kinds of crashing wood to the floor, so hopefully it's not disturbing you guys. Let's take a step to the front of the yoga mat. Look down at your feet and observe how you set yourself up. So your feet are parallel. The inner arches are lifting away from the floor. The outer ankles are firming in. This is our foundation, so it's important, right? We want to pay attention to the energy that's being lifted from our foundation. So take a moment and be present here in mountain pose. Feel your collarbones get wider. And then as you inhale, circle your arms. Feel the sides of the waist get long. Gather all of that energy up above you. As you exhale, long spine hinge and fold forward. Inhale, lift your chest. As you exhale, step back into a plank pose. Excuse me, Susie, you're kind of in the way. As you exhale, lower halfway down, Chaturanga. As you inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. She made sure I didn't go too low in my chaturanga. So the rule is your shoulders don't go lower than your elbows. Thank you, Susie. As you exhale, take your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Thank you, Susie. Take a few moments to reground, pressing down through the knuckle of each and every finger.
Feeling the outer tips of your shoulder blades hugging in to elongate your arms as you reach and stretch your hips way back behind you. And then at the end of your next breath, bend your knees, look forward. You might want to step, you might want to walk. If you really want to jump, you can jump. Make your way to the front of your mat. Look at your feet. As you inhale, reach your heart forward as if you're offering your heart to the earth. As you exhale, roll back down. As you inhale, circle the arms, gather all of that energy up above you. Let the sides of the waist get long. As you exhale, hands come together, the center of your heart. Again, tailbone long. As you inhale, root down. Let your rib cage lift up off of your pelvis. As you exhale, hinge and fold that breath all the way out. As you inhale, lift your chest. As you exhale, root your palms, step, make your way back. If you're jumping, make sure you land with bent elbows. Back into plank, make your way through chaturanga. And all the way up and back into downward facing dog, following your own breath. Feel as if you were trying to stretch your yoga mat forward with your hands. At the same time you're doing that, the eyes of your biceps are trying to look up towards the ceiling. At the end of your next breath, if you step the opposite foot forward this time. If you walked, have a nice walk, and if you jumped, go ahead and jump, or choose not to. Make your way to the front of your mat. As you inhale, reach the chest forward. As you exhale, fold back in. And then root to rise. Think about lifting your torso up off of your pelvis as you reach your arms up. As you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. We'll take one more round. Follow your own expansive breath. Let your breath be this current, like liquid, that's exploring your body, that's moving into all the little nooks and crannies as water can tend to do. Releasing any debris, any sticky places, any unconscious places. Good. Inhale your right leg straight back behind you. Imagine you were keeping your right leg on the midline. Bend your knee, open your hip, and press your left heel down towards the floor. Imagine trying, oftentimes I say look over your right shoulder, but actually try to square your chest down towards the floor so that the stretch is a little bit more isolated into your hip. Good, and then feel your hip revolve as you turn your toes to look back down towards the floor. So your inner right thigh is lifting up towards the ceiling. Slowly start to shift forward. Curl your knee in towards your chest. Push your yoga mat away. So much so that you can step your right foot lightly between your hands. Drop your back knee down. Okay, so let your pelvis shift forward. Yeah, draw the low belly in. And take the arms straight up. Draw the palms together. Keep drawing the low belly in. Take an inhale, lift the torso up off of the pelvis. And as you exhale, move your arms backward, but keep the low belly drawn in. So the hips are forward, the low belly's in, the heart is reaching up, the arms are reaching back. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, bring your hands down on either side of your right foot. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee up off of the floor and try to get both sides of your pelvis even here. If you want to take a block, place the block underneath your left hand. Take your right arm straight out towards the right, and then start to turn the left lung down towards the floor, right lung up towards the ceiling. Keep energizing back through your left leg. Take an inhale, pour the breath into your chest, and as you exhale, contract the belly muscles to create a little bit more of a twist. And do 2 more rounds of breath like that. Inhale, reach, pour that breath into your chest, feel your chest reaching away from your ribs, and as you exhale, churn the belly by contracting the belly muscles. Do that one more time.
Good, and then slowly revolve your right hand back down. Heel toe your right foot to the right. With your blocks or not with your blocks, you choose. Move both hands to the inside of your right foot. Yeah, so both hands are, I have both of my hands on one block. And then drop your back knee back down towards the floor. Walk down onto your forearms. The block is helpful in this, for me anyway. Hug your right knee in towards the midline this time. So I know sometimes we do it differently. Just breathe. Notice what is sticky. Notice the direction your body wants to go in. And rather than being forceful, just be curious. How can I build a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more softness or malleability into the places that feel sticky? Good, so if you want to stay here, that's great. If you want even more, tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee up off of the mat, reach your chest forward towards the front of your mat. Keep hugging your right knee in. Good, and then if you lifted that knee, go ahead and release it down. Walk it back up onto your palms. And then bend your back left knee, reach your right arm back around behind you, catch a hold of the top of your foot. Draw your low belly in. That's a tricky one, isn't it, here? And as you press your shin backwards, let that pull your right collarbone open. And as you draw your left heel towards your tush, allow that to create more scooping in the low belly. Good, and then release your back foot if you have it. Circle your arms back around. Lift your back knee up off of the mat. Spiral your left foot down so that it's in line with your right heel. The block is still to the inside of your right ankle. Your elbow and your knee are braced against one another. Press your pelvis towards the center line of your mat. Take your left arm straight up to the sky. Good. And then turn your left palm towards the front of the room. And like you're scooping water, remember that fluid breath. Inhale, reach your left arm forward. And as you press more vigorously into the outer edge of your left foot, stretch through your left fingertips. So your journey here is to stay where you can breathe. Can you breathe fully? Can you breathe calmly? Can you breathe without wondering in your head, oh my God, when is it going to be over? Because that's too much tension. So we want to find the softness. If you're feeling like, I want to go for it today, reach your right arm forward as well, but then observe your breath. And if it's too much, don't do it. Take your left arm straight back up towards the sky. Look down at your right hand. You're going to stack your torso right on top of your pelvis, coming into Warrior Two. Equally distanced between your right fingertips and your left fingertips. Equally distanced through both sides of your waist. Flip your right palm over. Inhale. Reverse the warrior and marinate. Keep bending your right knee a little deeper. Keep lifting your chest towards your right fingertips a little bit more. And then when you're ready, cartwheel your hands down. And if you want a vinyasa, take a vinyasa. If you want a child's pose, take a child's pose. If you want anything else, give it to yourself. It's your practice. We'll make our way back into downward facing dog. Take a moment to recenter. Feel that foundation, feel that floor underneath you. Re-explore your relationship to stability, to something solid. Can you use that to grow from, to create more levitation? Inhale your left leg straight back behind you. Bend your left knee, let your hip drape open as you press your right heel down into the floor. Square your chest towards the mat. And then extend your left leg back, hug your right hip in. As you exhale, slowly shift forward, curl your knee in towards your chest, push the floor away, and step your foot between your hands. Drop your back knee down,
Uncurl your toes. Let your pelvis shift forward. Draw your low belly in, and then lift the rib cage up on top of the pelvis as you stretch your arms in line with your ears. So make your arms super enthusiastic. Draw your palms together. Keep drawing the low belly in. Take an inhale, pour the breath into your lungs. As you exhale, move your arms back. Continue to breathe like this, keeping your awareness in your low belly. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears so that your heart can expand up towards your fingertips. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, bring your hands down on either side. Tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee up off of the mat. And find your pelvis. Notice if one side is higher than the other, right? Like usually the left side is way higher. If you want to block, bring the block to the inside of your inside of your left ankle. Take your left arm straight out to the left. Keep the equanimity in your hips. Turn your right lung down towards the floor, your left lung up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale, pour the breath into your chest, into your lungs, and as you exhale, churn the belly by contracting your belly muscles. Observe what happens when you take the twist from the midsection of your body. Take 2 more breaths like this, inhaling, pouring the breath into your lungs. Exhaling, engaging the belly muscles to revolve. Take 1 more. Good, and then slowly circle your left arm back down. And heel toe your left foot to the left a little bit. Take your hands, if you want, to the inside of your left foot on a block or not. And then slowly drop your back knee down and lower down onto your forearms. Like whether that's on a block or the floor is up to you. Keep hugging your left knee in towards the midline. Any place that feels sensation, any place that feels tight. See if you can feel the top of your inhale breath stretching you from the inside out. Notice if your energy is like, when is this going to be over? See if you can marinate. Really be present in the journey, as subtle as it may be. And if it's a huge fight, back off. Some of us are going to tuck our back toes under, lift our back knee up off of the mat. Take a few breaths if you've chosen that variation. Otherwise, just keep hanging out in the one you had. If you lifted that back knee, drop it back down. Walk it back up to your palms. Bend your back right knee. Reach your left leg back. Catch a hold of your top of your foot. Pull your heel in towards your butt. Scoop your low belly in. And then press your foot backwards so that your left collarbone feels like it gets longer and longer towards the back of the room. Find your breath. Release your foot if you have it. Circle your arms back down. Lift your back knee. Circle your back foot down. Heel to arch alignment. Move the block however you need to move it to the inside of your left ankle. Make sure your knee is stacked on top of your ankle. And then as you press your hips towards the middle of your mat, take your right arm up towards the sky. Feel the left side of your waist grow long. There's even an element of a twist here. So as you exhale, you can think about creating a little bit more of that twist. Left lung down, right lung back. Lean the back of your skull backwards. Flip your palm towards the front of the room, and as you reach through your right fingertips, press through the outer edge of your right foot. You're elongating as much as you can through that right side of the body without forgetting about the left side of the body. Lean the back of your skull backwards. If you want more, reach your left arm forward as well, but make sure you don't compromise in the alignment of your hips. So your left sitting bone is tracking back towards the arch of your right foot. If you took that left arm out, bring it back down, take your right arm back up to the ceiling. Ground through your pelvis, ground through your legs, and levitate through your torso as you rise into Warrior Two.
about that warrior persona, that focus, that connection to breath, that connection to intuition. Flip your left palm over. Be prepared to hold it for a few breaths. Bend deeper into your left knee as you reverse that warrior. Try to turn your chest up towards your left fingertips. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands back down. And make your way, however you would like, to a downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, shift forward into plank pose and lower down one forearm at a time into forearm plank. Imagine you could pull your yoga mat backwards with your forwards. Imagine you could pull it forwards with your toes, but keep the sides of the body long. If you shake, just see if you can be present with that sensation. Get your breath to the energy level of, you could stay here if you needed to. And then start to walk your toes in towards your elbows for dolphin pose. As you come into dolphin pose, press down into the forearms, move the shoulders away from the ears. Imagine your forearms were two big feet that you were standing on. And then slowly walk your toes back into forearm plank. Drop to the outer edge of your right foot, stack your left foot on top. Get light on your left hand and take your left arm up to the ceiling. Breathe. Extend your left arm over your ear. Take your left arm back up to the ceiling. Mindfully place your left forearm parallel to your right forearm. Roll back onto both toes. Roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Stack your right foot on top. Take your time. Just lift your elbow first. Keep your right fingertips down. Align your body. Press your pelvis forward. Take your right arm up to the ceiling. Lift the left side of your waist. Inhale, stretch your right arm forward. Lengthen the tailbone, draw the low belly in. Inhale the arm back up to the ceiling. Exhale, place your forearm parallel to your opposite and drop the pelvis down, coming into Sphinx pose. As you come into Sphinx pose, try to get the top of your sternum to become more vertical so that your whole sternum could press against the wall in front of you. Good, and then release yourself down onto your mat. Bring your knees close together. Press your pelvis down into the floor. Scoop your low belly up away from the floor. Bend both knees. You may need a strap. Bend both knees so you feel your hamstrings engage. So we're gonna keep the head down for a minute. I want you to keep pressing your pelvis into the floor. Keep your low belly drawn in, but just try to lift your thigh bones up off of the floor. Notice the work. Good, now release your thigh bones down. Don't change anything in your foundation, so press your pubic bone down into the floor, scoop your low belly in. Reach your arms back behind you. Keep your thigh bones pressing down, keep your pubic bone pressing down, keep your low belly drawing in, and just start to lift the upper body up, reaching the arms back behind you. Don't lose your low belly, stay with it. Legs are down. Good, now release your torso down. Separate your knees for a bit, make a pillow for your forehead, and just take a moment to windshield wipe your knees from side to side. Good, and then bring your knees close together again. Knees together, feet together. Press your pubic bone down, press your tailbone down, scoop your low belly in, and then reach back and catch a hold of your ankles. And now at the same time, as you keep your foundation pressing down, tailbone pressing down, belly scooping in,
Lift the chest and lift the thighs at the same time. Notice the moment where you lose that low belly. It's not worth it. Find a place where you can sustain, even if that means grabbing a strap. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, release it down. One more time, make a pillow for your forehead. Separate your knees wide and windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Good, and then just from here, roll over onto your back. Have your block. Lift your hips up off of the floor and slide your block any height underneath your sacrum for a supported bridge. So find your sweet spot where it feels really supportive, really comfortable. You can feel as if your pelvis could actually get wider here. Curl one knee into your chest and then the other. And extend your legs straight up towards the ceiling. So lift your back ribs up away from the floor. Make sure they don't sag down. And all of that energy and work we put into the lower body, just imagine how that energy is recirculating back into the core, back into that pelvis where, so much is generated from that space. So many of our organs are housed there. So much of our first and second chakra issues are in our pelvis. Things like survival, creativity, feeling safe. Good. And then slowly bend your knees. Drop one foot down to the floor and then the other. Lift your hips just high enough to slide the block out from underneath you. Pause. And then vertebrae by vertebrae, roll your upper back, middle back, and lower back all the way down to the floor. Extend your arms out to the side. Cross your whichever thigh bone you want over the opposite. And then take a little twist. Think about, as you exhale, churning the belly to press the shoulder blade opposite the way your legs are going to down into the floor. When you're ready, you take your time. You listen internally to your body. You switch to the other side. Think of your breath like liquid, moving through all the channels of your body. A little bit more clarity, a little bit less obstruction after we have moved the mind through all of these channels of the body. Whenever you're ready, and if there's anything else you need for your body, definitely take care of your body. But what we all for sure need is some Shavasana. So whenever you feel ready, make your way into your Shavasana. So your knees can be bent, as you know. You can knock your knees in towards one another. Take your feet out wide. You could also bring the soles of your feet together. Put blocks on the outside of your thighs to support if you're choosing that variation. You can have your legs extended out. You can rest your arms on your body or rest them out to the sides. If you're resting them out to the sides, palms facing up in a gesture of receptivity. So this Shavasana is about really receiving the gift of our parasympathetic nervous system, really receiving the gift of stillness. Allow your facial muscles to soften. Allow the floor to support you. Allow yourself to fully let go. This This might just be the most important time in your day. This might just be your one and only opportunity to really luxuriate in the parasympathetic nervous system. The ability to just be here without thinking about what you have to do. Just be here without responding to anything that's happening in the external world. Just be here, just be present for your internal world to regenerate. Soften your jaw, put a tiny space between your teeth, allow your tongue to relax. Slowly starting to bring more breath into your body. So imagine that the calm that you created by being in your parasympathetic just for a few moments is something that you could now move through the channels of your body with that fluid-like breath. Imagine distributing that peace to every cell and every molecule as you continue to lay still. Even allowing your mind to still, even if it's jumpy, even if it's like, I gotta get to this, you can just be here a moment longer. Imagine you're watering the garden. You've gone and collected the water, you might as well water the garden. And then when you feel like you've fully distributed that breath everywhere, reach your arms back behind you, reach your legs out in front of you, take a nice long breath, maybe point your fingers, maybe point your toes. When you're ready, hug your knees in towards your chest and just recall how many times we did that earlier. How is it different now? Good. Roll to the right-hand side and gently press yourself to a seated position, keeping your eyes closed.